Hi. Are you ready to learn about constructors? Yeah? Did you construct a poop in the living room a few minutes ago? Yes, you did. That poop was an object. Hey, what's up, nerds? My name's Chris, and we are still learning Java. So to recap, the first couple videos were about variables and methods, and then we talked about classes and objects. Today we're going to dive a little bit more into methods. Methods are, again, what things you can do within a class or with an object. So today I'm actually going back into our breakfast sandwich class that we made. So you can open up that app if you still got it, or just check out the video and recreate it. But to recap, basically we have a sandwich class that's got a couple of variables here, and then this one method of make sandwich, which was pretty basic. It just made a print line statement. And then this main class here makes a brand new sandwich, and we can say sammy.make sandwich. And if we run that, we get sandwich being made, being pulled from here. So this is the method, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more today. The main things I want to talk about with methods are going to be their arguments or parameters, a constructor, what makes this object, and then getters and setters. First thing we'll talk about is these arguments. And so these are pieces of data, or essentially variables, that you're going to put into this method to let it manipulate later or to use later. To show you an example, we've got this make sandwich method, and say we want it to say make sandwich being made for someone, and we want a name. So we can say in here, we can put the type of the variable, which is going to be a string, and then we give this variable a name, which in this case we're going to call name. If you want to make it more clear, we can say person's name. And so now we can use that within this method. So right now we have sandwich being made, but we can say sandwich being made for, and then you can put a plus, and then this variable that you're using, so person's name. So now it's going to take this person's name and it's going to put it into the string. Now it's saying we've got a problem because now we're using this in our main class, but it doesn't have the information that it needs, which is this person's name variable. So we can add that. So we add a string. And you can see IntelliJ kind of helped us out. It put in that argument's name, so we know exactly what we're looking for. And so now if we run it, we should get sandwich being made for Chris. And we do. And if we pull this again, make sandwich, you can put in another name. Run that. And now you'll see sandwich being made for Chris and sandwich being made for Mikey. So this can be any string you put in there, and that's what it'll print out. And if you hover over this make sandwich method, you can see at the very bottom, it says public void static make sandwich, and then it shows you what information, what variables it needs and what type. So that's very handy. Next thing I want to talk about is the getters and the setters. Now these might seem a little weird, especially for someone who is maybe coding on their own, doesn't work on a team, but privacy and accessibility of variables is very important. Sometimes you want to be able to just be able to change something on the fly, but oftentimes there might be some restrictions or security that you're worried about. And so getters and setters essentially solve that problem for those variables. If we change this to public, so now public slices of bread is public. So I can go into main, and now I can set sammy.slices of bread. You see it pops up right at the top there because it's public. So this main method, this main file can see it, and so it pops up. So we've got main.slices of bread, and then we can say is equal to 2. So now if we were to print this out, Sammy slices of bread is, and then we can put a plus, and we can put Sammy.slices of bread, save that and run it. You can see. So right on the fly, even though we're not in the sandwich class, we were able to access that variable and to change it, no problem. But what if slices of bread needed to be at least 2, or slices of bread could not be more than 4? There's no restrictions on that. And so that's what getters and setters essentially are for. So just like the names imply, getters are going to get those variables and setters are going to set those variables. So let's change this back to private. you see as soon as we do, it says we've got a problem because now it can't access this. So we'll get rid of those and we'll do it the right way. So let's make a setter for our pieces of bread. So we can do set, and you see IntelliJ is already helping us out. It's showing us like, oh, we probably want to make these sort of setters for these variables. So we can just hit slices of bread, fills it out for us. So again, it's got the parameter that we just talked about. So it knows it needs an int and it calls slices of bread. And then it automatically sets up this method for us. So it says this, meaning this specific object, whatever instance we're gonna set up, whatever object we're about to make, this object's slices of bread is equal to the slices of bread that you're about to tell me. So to reiterate, we're setting up a method that's going to set this variable up. And it's going to take this object's slices of bread variable and put it to whatever slices of bread argument that you add into here. Next, we'll talk about getters. And just like I said, getters are going to get whatever that variable's information is. So just like set, we're going to type in get, and it says, oh, you probably want to do one of these. So we're going to say get slices of bread, and boom. Now, as you can see here, obviously it's still public so that other files can see it. It is returning something. It is giving back information. And it's giving a type int because that's what slices of bread is. And then it's returning this slices of bread information. So if we set slices of bread up here to 2, it's then going to return an int of 2. Now, IntelliJ actually has some shortcuts for this. Already they make it pretty easy, but you can actually do control new and do getter and setter. And it knows that we've already done slices of bread, so it's just asking for 3 of the other ones. So we shift click to collect all of them and hit OK. And automatically it makes all of our getters and setters that we need. Now we'll get into later like how you might want to modify these, etc. Again, talking about like, you know, if you want to set a slices of bread, you want it to have a minimum or a maximum. We'll get into that next time. But for right now, just know that these are methods that let you assign the variable and get that variable. So if we go back into our main class here, we can now say Sammy.set type of eggs, and we'll put in scrambles. So now if we want to use our getter, we can put something like print line Sammy has plus Sammy.get types of eggs plus type of eggs. And we run that, we should see Sammy has scrambled types of eggs. And we do, with missing a space, but you get it. So that's a basic rundown of setters and getters. You can see we've got the setter, which sets that object, sets that variable, ideally with some sort of parameters or security in mind. And then we've got the getter. And sometimes we might not have a getter. For privacy reasons or security reasons, you might not want that variable accessed to a specific file. So setters and getters are completely optional depending on what you're building. Finally, we'll talk about constructors. And constructors are the method that making the object. And technically we already have one here on our screen. So if you look at line 6, you can see we did new sandwich. And this sandwich parentheses is the default constructor. We haven't built one, but the class automatically comes to one that just makes a blank one. But we can modify that. We can make an automatic default constructor. So the way you do that is you're gonna make a method. So you're gonna say public, and then you're going to put in just the name of the class. So in this case, it's sandwich. And you can leave that as is, but let's say, you know, every time we make a sandwich, we want to have it say something. So, hello sandwich. So now if we run it, hello sandwich should be the first thing that we see because that's the first thing it's making, and we do. So we see hello sandwich because it's constructing this sandwich object, and then we've got the rest of the stuff that we made in our sandwich in our main method. Now, usually the purpose of a constructor is to get all of the information, the data that it needs to make the object at once. So right now we've got all of these variables that we're not assigning to anything when one is being made. We've got an empty sandwich. And so ideally what you want to do is get all the information. How many slices of bread? Is it toasted? Is it vegetarian? What kind of eggs? Right when you make that sandwich. And you can do multiple constructors. So right now we've got a base one. We could do one where we only ask for slices of bread. We can do one where we only ask type of eggs. But more often you're probably going to make one that's asking for all of the information or most of the information. Now IntelliJ, again, has another shortcut for that. So if you type in Control New or Command New, it'll say constructor. And it's saying, well, how many variables do you want in this constructor? How much information do you need to know? And so we'll just shift click to get all of them. And boom. So again, it's that public, so it's accessible to other files, the name of the class sandwich, and then it's taking in a bunch of parameters that it needs to know whenever it's making a sandwich. Then it assigns that instant or that object's variables to whatever information you just put in these parameters. So it's saying, okay, when I make this sandwich, its slices of bread is going to equal whatever you put up here. When I make this sandwich, the Boolean is toasted is going to equal whatever is toasted that you put in here. So let's give it a shot. So let's make a new sandwich. So we'll do sandwich, the type of object that we're about to create. We'll name it new Sammy equals new, and then, but now we're going to start adding some information. And you can see if I pause, it actually gives us options on which one we want, no parameters or with parameters. So now we're going to start filling in those pieces of information we need. So we know it's slices of bread, so we're going to put in 2, comma, and then is toasted is a Boolean, so we'll put in true, and then type of eggs we'll put in over medium, and then is vegetarian we'll put false. Great, so we have this new Sammy object, and now it knows all the information it needs to know. We don't need to do new Sammy dot set slices of bread, new Sammy dot set is toasted, so we don't need to go through all of those now. They're already built in the constructor, and we have this new sandwich. It's ready to go. We can just put, my new sandwich has, we'll put plus, and then we'll put new Sammy dot get type of eggs plus type of eggs. And if we run that, my new sandwich has over medium type of eggs. But that about wraps up what I want to talk about with methods. Again, you have got the arguments, the pieces of information within those parentheses that a method needs to then use, manipulate, or return. You've got the getters and setters, which do exactly what they say. They're going to set and get those variables safely. And then you've got the constructors, which are literally constructing that specific instance of it, getting the information it needs to make that object, and just returning that with that information. So I hope that made sense. If you've got any questions, feel free to message me. Next time we'll be diving into a little bit more of logic within code blocks. So we'll talk about conditionals, if-then sort of statements, basically just checking things and whether or not they should run or not. So I'll see you guys next time.